Welcome to Flavor Text, an extension of the Max Level podcast brought to you by Technisport Gaming Chairs. Use offer code LDG to save 10% whenever you make a purchase on a brand new gaming chair, desk, or accessories. Be sure to subscribe to the Max Level podcast on your favorite podcast app of choice to hear a brand new episode every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. On today's episode of Flavor Text, the crew has each put together their ideal world lists for the next Kingdom Hearts game. So we go over those and explain our reasonings behind each world. Support us by clicking that subscribe button, hit the like, turn notifications on, and drop us a comment down below. So I want to do something fun this week. This might be the first fun thing we've done on Flavor Text. Now, we have done some fun things in the past. Go check out some past episodes. We talked about things we wanted to come back from the 80s. We talked about gaming cartoons that we used to watch when we were children and franchises that we think could transition well to gaming cartoons now. But I think this is the first time that we're going to do something extremely relevant and extremely fun. So Frank, you and I have been playing a crap ton of Kingdom Hearts 3 over the past 2 weeks.
Oh, yes.
We finished the game. We are putting up a spoiler cast. We've already put it up or putting it up soon, a spoiler cast here on the YouTube channel and over on our Max Level podcast feed. If you don't currently subscribe to Max Level, make sure you go do that. This whole show is just spawned from that podcast. So every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. But I want to talk Kingdom Hearts as a franchise today. And what I want to do, now that we've finished Kingdom Hearts 3, now that we kind of have an idea of what could potentially be coming next, or well, not really an idea, but now that we have a guess, let's kind of speculate on what the next Kingdom Hearts game world list is going to look like. So on Flavor Text this week, we have myself, we have Frank, and we have Shawn. And what we've done is we have put together a list over the past couple days of what our ideal world list would look like in the next Kingdom Hearts game. So we're going to start off and we're going to basically be listing those worlds and say why we picked those worlds, maybe how they could be implemented, what they could do with those worlds, that kind of stuff. We're just going to spend a couple minutes each going over our lists and see what our ideal worlds look like. Now, this isn't a competition. We're not trying to compete against one another, but Frank is so confident in his list that he thinks it's potentially going to be the actual world list for the next Kingdom Hearts game. So we're going to start with you, Frank, and I want to see why you're so confident with this.
Okay. So I got lots of heavy hitters here. And
I guess I should say, I wanted to try to be realistic with this. So I'm hoping your lists are somewhat realistic.
I mean, one of them or two of them are stretching a little bit, but you'll see why they work. And everything is Disney, owned by Disney through and through.
Everything on our list has to be done by Disney, except for individual, like, stuff that Kingdom Hearts makes for themselves, like the Keyblade Graveyard.
and we'll get to that portion as well. So my first world, and this is the one I kicked around the most because I had so many options for it, but I picked Tatooine.
Okay.
So that'll be your Star Wars world. It's a harsh desert, twin suns. You got, the huts and all that stuff, and there'll be sandstorms, Tusken Raiders. So for one, built-in mini games. So you got pod racing, you got gambling, you got that kind of thing going on there. Why Star Wars? Well, through the whole narrative, looking for like the new princesses, the new Seven Hearts. You could either set this in the past and have it something to do somehow with Princess Leia. I even see the person teaming up with you on Tatooine being either a Force user like Luke, Han Solo, or Chewbacca. Honestly, prefer Chewbacca, to be quite honest, because I feel like he's the most kind of
he's the most Kingdom Heartsy.
That's the word. I didn't want to use that word, but yeah, he's the most Kingdom Hearts works. Because I feel like if we bring in Force users, we're really kind of going too far into this kind of thing. So the Heartless teaming up, so you have like Heartless Stormtroopers, you have that kind of deal going on. I think it'd be a really cool aspect. We could even have some light Jedi Sith things going on. Obviously, with them being dark, that they're perfect for the Heartless or nobodies. So
I think that works. I changed one of mine because I literally had the exact same thing until I switched it. So glad I changed one of my things.
I feel like that world, especially with the fact that it's a lawless, dirty place kind of thing, I feel like that one works really good for the Heartless. It kind of lines that up there. The polar opposite, though, is my next pick. And that is Motunui, which is the world of Moana. A game which I actually thought was going to be featured somehow in this Kingdom Hearts, but then it makes sense. It's probably too new. being how long it takes to make these games. So it's going to be a Polynesian islandscape. Obviously, your cohort is going to be Maui, the Rock's character. And again, my scheme of getting the new princesses. So somehow maybe Moana has been taken by the Heartless, who, let's just face it, they're going to take over the giant crab guy, whose name escapes me. So that's going to be your big bad for there. We're obviously now in the realm of working with these Disney Pixar movies. This is a really big one. This one's popular. The toys are everywhere. I can't see them not putting Moana in the next game. It's not going. There's no way they can miss this one. My next one, another game I really, really thought was going to show up, especially because it's huge. And this is going to be the Great Barrier Reef. So this is your Finding Nemo verse. One of my favorite things from Kingdom Hearts, and I do believe it was one, it could be two, is when we went to the Little Mermaid world. And, so like, Donald was an octopus, or Goofy was an octopus.
Goofy was a turtle, and Donald was an octopus.
There you go. I want, not that we don't have an underwater level of sorts in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I really do want a nice underwater level.
First of all, I love the way that it was implemented in Pirates by Land. Let me just say, I love the way that it was implemented in the Pirates world. Yeah.
And this one, my princess I have is Dory. Because this way you're working in Finding Nemo, you're working in Finding Dory. So you have two movies that are actually pretty damn good working together here. So Finding Dory will be your major thing. It'll be the first time, at least that I've noticed, that the princess is not human-esque. It's a fish. I mean, because the one thing that this Kingdom Hearts 3 really hammer home is even toys have hearts. Like all these things, it's all about friendship and love.
It's so good. It's so good.
So I again, glaringly absent from the list of Disney movies, because Finding Nemo is just, it's a behemoth. But the next one, everyone was pissed this wasn't in Kingdom Hearts, except for me, because I'm not the biggest fan of the universe, but I've come around to it now. I started to love it. Metroville. That's the Incredibles universe. This one seems pretty obvious. We're going to fight some kind of big, evil, super villain kind of thing. Metroville is going to be pretty much... I can see why I didn't make it into this game, because Big Hero 6 took the spot that Metroville would have filled in this one. I'm assuming that we're going to either team up with Dash or Violet, which are the younger two of the Incredibles team, not Jack the little child. My assumption is that maybe Jack gets kidnapped, or something's going to happen. Something's going to happen with them, and I don't think we're going to see Mr. Incredible or Frozone or Elastigirl doing something other than being, incapacitated, and the kids have to save the day. Maybe Violet's the princess. I haven't figured that one out just yet. My next one here is a personal wish of mine, but Disney owns the IP, so this can happen. My next one I want to be Salem. Hocus Pocus World. So the Sanderson sisters are back, and aided by the Heartless, are looking to steal all the children. They want the hearts. The Sanderson children want to actually eat the children. I think this one would work really well. The only problem is, I don't know if we literally jump into the original Hocus Pocus, or if the Sanderson sisters have come back from the dead, which they're eventually going to come back for a sequel. It's going to happen eventually.
Well, much like we saw with Tangled, it really kind of just puts things into the original movie and just changes certain plot points. So I think implementing it in the original would be the way to go.
And then Danny is your princess. That's the younger sister. For your cohort or your companion on this one, I actually thought it could be Max, or it could be Billy.
Oh, Billy. Okay.
Although Binks and Max as a combo works really well.
It does.
My next one, I love this one. The X Mansion. And this is how I worked Marvel into it. And I worked Marvel into this twice. You'll see how this works. So with the X Mansion, that's where the X-Men obviously are situated. So this world could be something as simple as just fighting a big bad guy. You have a bunch of X-Men help you, blah, blah, blah. But but my real reason for picking this one is because you need something with a subworld. And that subworld is Data. And we've seen Data being worked with Kingdom Hearts before. So they have the danger room where they can do any kind of simulation. So with these simulations, that's how you could work in the Avengers or Spider-Man, whatever that, because they could literally just simulate anything. So you can actually have two different kinds of Marvel worlds going on. And your princess, and you have ample. You can pick just about anyone for a princess in this one. It could be someone as simple as Jean Grey or Rogue or Jubilee. It could be anyone. So it's a nice, easy one. And I would play the shit out of that. I really, really want. I really want to see Sora in the yellow and black, like old school X-Men kind of, like, because the McDonald's magic makes you look like you belong in the world. They could be mutants. I would absolutely love that. My next one, it's a bit of an amalgamation of worlds, and I'm calling it Disney Castle. But I'm taking the worlds of Duckburg, so DuckTales, Saint Canard, Darkwing Duck, Spoonerville, that's where Goofy and his son is from, Mouseton, which is where Mickey Mouse is from, and whatever else we could kind of throw together to make that world conducive.
So like the Saturday morning cartoon world.
Absolutely, 100%. And I have the plot of this being that the Heartless are pissed. Like they are, and they're on the warpath, and they're going after the families of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. So it's going to go down. Like, it's going to be something big. I mean, this is going to be a really expansive world, and like, it's personal. Like the Heartless, they almost want to like, they want to make us go to the dark side to like fight them. Like they're testing our hearts. For your teammate, you have just so many options. I would love it if it was Darkwing Duck, though. That's my own personal thing. Because when there's trouble, you call DW. And my final world. Oh my god, I love this one. I really, really do. But I'm gonna get there yet. I'm gonna say that one for a second. I have a sub world I want to talk about first, and I think there is gonna be like a Twilight Town or a Hollow Bastion kind of town. Like it's a staple. I didn't count it amongst my worlds, but I think the sub world we're gonna see is gonna be Dissidia.
Okay.
Because I need to see a way that we can make these characters from Final Fantasy come together without them. You can't have 7 and 4 and 6 all existing at the same time. They're different games, different worlds, kind of thing. So I think Dissidia does work in that aspect. Who the princess is going to be? Brian already knows who I think the princess is going to be in that one, and her name is Rydia.
Not Rydia. It would probably be Lightning.
let's face it, you're right. But for my final world, and again, this is stretching the limits of the Disney license as far as humanly possible. The Labyrinth. That's right, the Goblin City, baby. So, I mean, the things I thought about was like the Death Wall, the Riddle Doors, the Bog of Eternal Stench, the Junk Fields, all those cool things.
Can Sora have the Goblin King hairdo?
We're going to battle the Goblin King. He needs to have his hot piece and everything. Our tag team partner in this one has to be Ludo. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We have to have the magic dance. There has to be a nice epic dance movement.
As long as the ballroom scene's in, dude, I'm down.
And Sarah's your built-in princess. I mean, it's there. It's as simple as humanly possible. But I mean, the reason why that is so close is because it's owned by Jim Henson, and the Henson Products is owned, or that includes all the Muppets, and that is owned by Disney. So it's they own it through a chain.
Yes.
I don't want. This is my one world. If you're not going to have the likeness of David Bowie in the game, do not make the Labyrinth. But if he's in the game, I would love to see David Bowie, the Goblin King, Jareth there. And like you said, if Sora's hair can match it, like, because the magic is supposed to make you look like it, make them all pageantry. It would be the absolute. It would be the tits.
Give me some masquerade costumes, and I'm down, dude. I'm so down.
You know, we can even do Chili Down with the Fire Gang.
Okay.
And those are my worlds. Critique away if you like.
I like it, man. I like how you hit you hit exactly what I was going to have with the Star Wars world until I changed one of my picks. So you literally had everything down to the T. You actually matched me on a few worlds that I'll get to here shortly. So
cool.
I'm excited. I have different ways that they would be implemented and used, but I was actually surprised that you hit two of the worlds that I wanted to talk about. One of them in particular. One of them I thought for sure I was going to be the only one that had it, but I'm not. So.
Okay.
I really enjoyed your picks, man. I think that you basically thought of the entire plot for a new game. which is really good. It helps me see like how you would want to envision it and everything. It sounds to me like it's a like I guess the easiest way to say it is it follows the formula of
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yep.
And so I like that because there is continuity.
Right.
It's also sounds like a really lot of fun to play. Like I could see when you were talking about it, I was imagining some of the interactions and different things that could happen.
As was I. What I really liked that you did is you actually like picked out the name of the worlds themselves. I didn't do that. I literally just picked the franchise name. Like I said,
Right.
This is Star Wars or this is Finding Nemo, but you actually came up with the worlds that they were in, like the Great Barrier Reef and Tatooine. I didn't do that. So I like that you actually did that. I just chose the actual franchises and, left it up to the world, like the Disney or Square Enix to figure out exactly the world that they would use from that franchise. So I like that you actually even took it a step further.
Thank you. I win.
It's definitely.
I joke.
It's a strong list, man. It's definitely a strong list. The only critique I have is that you ignored several historical franchises that we haven't seen yet.
I know. There's lots of things that I wanted to add, but I wanted to make every world unique, like new to the franchise, because like I wanted a Snow White world, but we had that.
Yeah, Birth by Sleep.
Exactly. So.
Yep. Shawn, what did you come up with?
Okay, so I guess my interpretation of what we were going to be talking about this week was a little different. I haven't played all the Kingdom Hearts games, and we covered last time.
And that's fine. You don't have to have.
I think the games that I have the most exposure to are the mainline ones.
Right.
So I thought, okay, what would I want to see to get me to jump back in? What would I want to see that's going to get me reinvest? Because I mean, I've seen a lot of great stuff, but even Kingdom Hearts 3 looks like the same thing I played all those years ago with just different worlds. It feels like whenever I watch people play the game, it looks the same. I get the same feelings. I have the same sensations with the animations and all the different things. So I thought, okay, what can we do different that could capture someone like me?
Yeah. There was no right or wrong way to look at this. You could do whatever you want with it. There's no right or wrong way to look at this. It's what does your next ideal Kingdom Hearts game look like?
So I'm going to go off of franchises and I'm going to go off of ideas, and it's going to be a lot less put together than what Frank had. So thanks for going first. First off, we talked about it already. What I would love to see is actually venturing into and exploring different parts of Final Fantasy. I think that is a vastly, rich and diverse series of games that you could have different worlds based off of just the games themselves. We talked about it a little bit too. Like Final Fantasy VII is a must. You could go to Midgard. You could check that whole world out and really just you could interact with people that have already been introduced into the game. Sephiroth, maybe Genova's in there a little bit. Then there's like little mini bosses where you can run into that big giant lagoon monster thing that everyone always is trying to avoid on the map, or just things like that. Chocobos would be really fun. Even like Red 13, some of those franchise characters that are in that game. Oh gosh, what's the big Kate Sith?
Kate Sith
is in there.
It's surprisingly something that's absent from Kingdom Hearts 3. There's like next to no Final Fantasy characters except for Moogles.
Yeah, Moogles tie into the game really well, so you could really put some of those in. Another Final Fantasy game that I was thinking of is, of course, 6. 6 has a huge diverse cast of characters that have already kind of peeked their way into the series a little bit here and there. And also, Final Fantasy list of games that I would really love to see is, maybe like 9. Where they have.
I was hoping you'd say 8.
I'm sorry. Well, of course, we talked about 8. So 8 and 9 really are some of the more unpopular Final Fantasy games, even though they're good. And I don't know why. They just don't have that same cult following, right?
8 specifically, but 9 definitely has a decent following behind it. 9's one of the better Final Fantasies made. Like 9's great. 9
lends itself to Kingdom Hearts very well because of the animation style. The look of the game, the feel of the game feels very much like it could filter into that pretty easily. And, of course, you could always throw in maybe like one of their online games where you could kind of go in there and just have a different set of cast members from to add to like a Traverse Town or something like that. I'd love to see those incorporations into the series, and how you could tie it all in is maybe you could incorporate time travel a little more and actually go to these worlds of these characters that are in Traverse Town, and or whatever the case may be, before their world got blown up, and you can see how the Heartless maybe affected those worlds and play through those stories. So it could be something where you go through different parts of time, and it could even introduce new characters into the series that are just from Kingdom Hearts, the universe itself, and bring in more of those characters. Or you could even go to the origin stories of some of the Organization 13 members before they became nobodies. That would be kind of cool to see that, play through that a little bit. I don't know if that's in 3. If it is, I suck. But
It's not.
It would be fun to see some of that. Maybe the Disney side of things, I always wanted to see them do more with the actual parts of the theme parks that were there. And so
yes,
that would be really dope if you could go to like the jungle and do the Jungle Cruise, or you go to Frontierland and it's Big Thunder Mountain area, and like the whole level's a train level where you're just riding on this train, and like it's a big Heartless heist and they're trying to take over everything and unlock the keyhole to the world or whatever. Because
even having one of the worlds be like the world of the theme park.
Yeah.
Like just that is the world, is the theme park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the only thing I'll say about that is that Kingdom Hearts 3 has attractions in it now.
That's true. And I saw that, but they're like boss fights, right?
Well, one of them only shows up in like one boss fight, but the rest of them that you can trigger while you're actually doing just random battles. But they're implemented as ways to do different combat mechanics. So you have the pirate ship, which throws out water at enemies. You have the carousel, which spins around and hits enemies. You have the teacups, which also spins around and hits enemies. You have the Toy Story blaster ride that you could run around and shoot enemies and rack up a high score. Like they're subtle nods to the theme park during combat, but they're definitely not fooling it to the extent of what you're talking about.
Right, right.
So they could take that concept and even expand upon it further by implementing an entire world, but still having the different attractions that you can do. But say like when you're in the Jungle Cruise, maybe you could do something with like, with the boat, or when you're in Frontierland, you have the Indiana Jones stuff, or when you're in Tomorrowland, you do something with Space Mountain. Like these different things that you could implement from the parks and attractions we have, because there's only like 5 or 6 attractions in Kingdom Hearts 3. There's definitely not nearly as many as I would like.
Right, right.
I thought that whole stuff was really interesting. So seeing that expanded upon further into a whole world of a theme park, I like that idea a lot. That's like the what I liked about Frank's was the Saturday morning cartoon thing. I really like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, there's certain intellectual properties that haven't been explored at all in the games from what I've seen to a great extent. Like, you look at Cars Land. Radiator Springs would be an amazing world.
Yes, it would. Cars would make a great world.
You've got
become a car.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I'm liking that. I'm not even knocking that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know. There's way cool things in there that haven't really been touched on. Like you could go in there and do something with the Matterhorn and the Abominable Snowman and all those different things and tie it into Fantasyland, where you've got Mr. Toad and his wild ride. And there's a lot of cool things in there that maybe...
I just hope to get to wait like an hour in the line to fight the Heartless.
Yeah.
The boss fight is literally standing in the queue.
I love it. But there is so much, and there's all these IPs that they've incorporated into Disney World that they haven't even touched. So that's mainly my part of the discussion. My contribution is, hey, let's take a lot more of that nostalgia and inject it into the game, because there's so much there that they're probably not going to be able to use. If you look at the games that have come out so far, I feel like it's less and less Disney and more made up Kingdom Hearts stuff, which is great. But that just means that they're not going to burn through all the things that they could do if they only release a couple more games. So that would be my take on it. I don't know. There is parts to Disney that don't lend themselves to Kingdom Hearts that I wouldn't want to see, and I figured I'd touch on that too. Like I really don't I don't want to see a lot of their like real life stuff come into movies. I don't want to see a representation of the MCU in Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
I don't, because I just don't feel like it really lends itself.
How do you feel about the comic universe, though?
The comic universe, yes, but here's a great example. If you put the Guardians of the Galaxy into Kingdom Hearts, which I would love to see, if you put their real life models in there, it doesn't really jive. If you put their comic ones in, where Drax looks different, Gamora looks different, they have a different feel to them, maybe that works better. But you're going to see a lot of that stuff happening in Ultimate Alliance anyway. All of it's going to be comic models and all that. So how do you tie that? How do you make it work? I don't know.
That's how the Telltale game was as well. They had the comic models.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that aspect, because I think that while I love the Pirates of the Caribbean world in Kingdom Hearts 3, the realistic character models took me out of the game a little bit.
Well, look at Donald and Goofy.
Yeah.
When they're all on the beach hanging out, everyone looks legit. Even Sora looks legit. He fits somehow, some way he fits, but not those two. And it's just like it needs to be more of a fun, cartoony game. It needs to be the serious.
As long as Donald and Goofy are still your companions,
right,
there has to remain some type of artistic, cartoony element to the stuff.
And my way of getting more of that incorporated into the game, as far as like realistic looking things or like Final Fantasy elements, is really just exploring the IPs that have cartoony things involved in them too. And that would be a good bridge because it's already there. So I want the games to stay what they are, though. That's my point, is you don't want to incorporate all the mainstream Disney stuff now, because let's face it, a lot of their stuff is a lot more realistic. They don't do cartoons as much anymore. Like, maybe it would be funny to have Mary Poppins in a Kingdom Hearts game since she's coming back hot. You know, but you want that make-believe. You want the cartoon magic in there too. So I hope your list has some of that, because Frank's did, and I was super down with it.
My list does, actually. Yeah, it actually has a lot of different things, and I only have one realistic world in mind. So I, much like Kingdom Hearts 3 has one realistic world with pirates, I only have one with mine. So before I jump into mine, Shawn, I love that you wanted to incorporate more with Final Fantasy. Like, Frank had the Dissidia world, which has incorporated everything. But from what it sounded like to me, is you wanted just not just one overarching world of Final Fantasy, but multiple different Final Fantasy worlds in the game, which I actually really like.
Maybe two. I think that's the sweet spot.
It'd even be cool if they were like a cluster of small planets, like they don't have to be
like the galaxy maps in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like if one of the star maps was like Final Fantasy worlds.
Yeah. I mean, or they could even be like a cluster of small like moons circling a planet, so you could actually go to like 4, 6, 9, 8. Why else 3? And then why not? Right? 15.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, you tried to put the entire universe of 15 on your list, and I told you no. You're like, is Aeos too big? Yes, it is, Frank.
It was worth a shot.
Or, hey, how about this? Say we can't time travel, and we can't go to those places because they've been, quote unquote, destroyed. Can we go to the ruins? Can we go to a place where it's still a planet, but there's no life essence there, and so it's just the ruins, and then maybe it's like a heartless stronghold? That would be kind of cool to see a new take on those franchises. I would love to be in Shinra, trying to take down those guys in the tower when it's a heartless, place now. I would love to be in Kefka's tower. I'd love to be in Xanarkand fighting heartless.
No, it's not going to be Kefka. It's going to be a Zayafak, something like that.
Yeah.
Give me Xanarkand, man, and I'm down. Give me Xanarkand and I am down, especially if you can incorporate that music. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. All right. Well, I guess I'll jump into mine then. I have a full list for what I want from like the next mainline Kingdom Hearts game, but I did think of something that we could potentially see for a spin-off game, because usually in between mainline Kingdom Hearts games, we always see 1 or 2 spin-off games. It just seems to be the norm. So what I thought of is how, Frank, you kept mentioning during your list that Kingdom Hearts 3 really focused on the new 7 hearts and these new princesses. But I would like to see a game that comes out that's a spinoff that goes back and sees us reuniting the original 7 hearts.
Okay.
Oh.
So for that game, I was thinking the worlds would just be Destiny Islands, Wonderland, Dwarf Woodlands, Agrabah, Beast Castle, Castle of Dreams, and Enchanted Dominion. So we have Kairi, Alice, Snow White, Jasmine, Belle, Cinderella, and Aurora. I think that'd actually be a really cool game, just to kind of, for whatever reason, something would happen and we would need the original 7 hearts to reunite. I think something could, and especially because of what we're seeing in Kingdom Hearts 3 with the new Seven Hearts, I could see, because, you know, the original Seven Hearts, those 7 princesses I just mentioned, all but Kairi transferred their powers to somebody different. So let's try to get the originals back because they're needed for some type of story plot. That could be a cool side game. But I didn't spend much time on that one. What I spent the most time on was obviously the idea that I had for, I'm just going to call it Kingdom Hearts 4. And I put my list in order of appearance in the game.
Okay.
How we would go to them. So I didn't necessarily come up with the actual worlds themselves. I came up with the franchises, but I came up with the order. Now I'm going to mention right now, the first one I'm about to mention is a spoiler for Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead about a minute. The first original worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4 is Verum Rex, which is the world that we saw during the cinematic for Toy Story in the Toy Box world, Verum Rex and Yozora. What I'm gathering is Yozora is going to be the main character for Kingdom Hearts 4. And Sora's story is done. So how I approached my list is that this is now a totally different aspect of Kingdom Hearts. We're not focusing on princesses necessarily. We're not focusing on anything, but we're still battling the organization. We're still battling some type of overarching big bad that deals with the organization. So there's not necessarily a focus so much on princesses as there is still the organization and whatever comes from the ruins of the organization. So if we're exploring something totally different, Sora's done, Goofy's done, Donald's done. We have Yozora as the main character. We're going to have to start out with some type of introduction for him because this will be the first time that we're getting introduced to the character besides what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3. So we start out in Verum Rex. From there, we go on to Moana, which is one of the ones I agreed with Frank on. I think Moana would be your implementation. Moana and Maui as support characters. Definitely agree with the Polynesian feel, that type of feel to the islands. This would be your area that you have some underwater exploration involved. And just this kind of like a mixture between what we saw with Pirates in Kingdom Hearts 3 and with what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 1 with The Little Mermaid. So I think it would be some type of a sweet spot mixture between the two, and it would just have that island type feel. And every world that I came up with has a different feel to it. From there, after we finish Moana, we're going to go on to a world, The Brave Little Toaster.
Disney own that?
So this is, they do. They own the rights to it. So the Brave Little Toaster would be implemented very much in the same way that Toy Story was implemented into Kingdom Hearts 3. So it would be working with Toaster, Blanky, Lampy, Radio, and Vacuum Cleaner. And whatever they're trying to do, dude, it's been so long since I've watched the Brave Little Toaster, but they're going off and they were left behind and they're trying to find their family because the family moved, right?
Yes.
Because they left these appliances behind, but the appliances were so attached to the family that they go on this grand journey to find their family. So it would be very much like Toy Story and Kingdom Hearts 3, where you're working with Woody, Buzz, all these different toys trying to find Andy. So it'd be something similar to that. Yozora, if they still do the whole fitting into the worlds with the order, then the characters could turn into household appliances. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting, but it would be cool to see a world like this implemented that isn't toys, but would be appliances. So kind of taking that same concept that they did with Kingdom Hearts 3 and applying it to that. From there, I think we would move on to the world of Pocahontas, which is one of the blatantly obvious worlds that has been missing from Kingdom Hearts.
That's one of the 2 worlds that I have on my list of unvisitables, but I'll let you go.
Okay. So Pocahontas as a world in Kingdom Hearts 4, I think we would have to either work alongside Pocahontas or maybe work alongside John Smith. I have no idea. But what I think would be interesting about this world is that it would obviously implement that Native American feel to it, which is something that we haven't seen in Kingdom Hearts yet. We haven't seen that whole aspect, and we haven't seen the aspect of the early 1600s, the colonial era. So that would be taking this time period, the Virginia colonies, and implementing that into the world of Kingdom Hearts. And I think that would be actually really interesting, and how, you might be able to, because how in Kingdom Hearts 3, all your Keyblades that you get for these worlds, they have some type of connection to the worlds themselves. So maybe in Kingdom Hearts 4, the Keyblade that you get, if you are still even using Keyblades, I have no idea, because again, this could be something totally different if it stars Yozora. And if it doesn't star Yozora, then it does Sora, then forget everything I mentioned about Verum Rex. But what if your Keyblade was able to turn into like a tomahawk or something like that? I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting. So this world, I think it's one that I cannot believe hasn't been done yet. And even just in a side game, because certain side games like The Hunchback of Notre Dame has been done in a spin-off game, but Pocahontas still hasn't. So I think this one is so crazy that they haven't actually done this yet because it is so popular. I think it would be cool. From there, I think we go to Traverse Town. So I think Traverse Town will be one of the original worlds that we see in Kingdom Hearts 4. Not original as we haven't seen it before, but as we learned at the end of Dream Drop Distance, Traverse Town is in a sleeping state. So everything there is put into a stasis. So I think that for some narrative plot point in Kingdom Hearts 4, we would need to go back to Traverse Town and reawaken the town. So kind of like what Shawn was talking about, maybe time traveling and seeing this place before it was destroyed, so to speak. Maybe that could be incorporated into it, where we then see maybe Traverse Town is the planet that has Final Fantasy moons surrounding it. Now that taking kind of something that Shawn mentioned and kind of incorporating that into my list a little bit, but maybe that's how this goes. So, because Traverse Town in Kingdom Hearts 1 was the home base of the Final Fantasy characters. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 saw them go back to Radiant Garden, which is technically where they're from. So I think it would be interesting to go back and kind of restore Traverse Town and make it something that was better than what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 1. So Traverse Town would be my next one. Very much done in the same way as Twilight Town in Kingdom Hearts 3. So not nearly as big as the other worlds we're going to visit, but still big enough to be a world. From there, I think we then will unlock, much like we did when we visited a world in Twilight Town and how we unlocked the 100 Acre Woods. I think we unlock our sub-world that exists within Traverse Town. And I was surprised that you mentioned Labyrinth, because I actually picked up something that's owned by Jim Henson as well. The sub-world is the Muppets.
Nice.
And I think that, there would be a way to implement this. It's a hidden, smaller scale world where it's just mini games, much like 100 Acre Woods in Kingdom Hearts 3 is just mini games. And it's one mini game implemented 3 different times. But I think in this one, I would like to see a couple different mini games, implemented into it. But all this world is, you go there, you interact with the Muppets, you interact with Kermit, Miss Piggy, the 2 grouchy characters that argue all the time. I forget their names, the critics.
Well, Stadler and Waldorf, how dare you?
Thank you. But I think this world would be very much it would be cool. And this would be the first time that the 100 Acre Woods was not the hidden world, because the 100 Acre Woods has been the hidden world every single time. It's always been Winnie the Pooh. And I would like to see something different this time. So that would have the Muppets in there. From there, my next world that we would visit because that would be like the end of Star Map 1. So then after we would move on, I'd like to see Brave implemented into the world, or into Kingdom Hearts 4.
Nice.
Brave as a franchise. So we would obviously work with Merida as a support character. This would be your medieval setting. This takes place in medieval Scotland. And I think that archery would play a big part into this. So how I envision this world is kind of like a mixture between what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3 between Corona and Arendelle. So very open foresty area, but more of a medieval type of feeling to it, like we saw with Corona, but with a heavier focus on the story and the characters, like we saw with Arendelle from Frozen and Kingdom Hearts 3. So again, you'd have your medieval setting. This would take place in Scotland. Archery, you'd have a Keyblade, unlock one that could fire arrows and would be a Keyblade. The first Keyblade we could use as a ranged weapon. Would be freaking cool.
Wow. Because
all the other Keyblades we have now are, up in your face. And yes, some of the abilities, you can use them. I'm talking abilities, Frank. Now, you can't stand back with a Keyblade a normal thing and just shoot enemies. You can't.
You have a Keyblade that shoots arrows, but you have to unlock the ability for it, like through regular fighting.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. You have to unlock the abilities. Okay. So this would be a baseline Keyblade that you could be used at range.
Nice. Okay.
So, obviously with some of the Keyblades, as you not power them up, but as you use them enough times in succession to unlock their hidden abilities, you can turn them into, like the one I'm using right now, the Pirates one, you can turn that into a Pirate's Wheel or something, or like a Storm Flag and use that, or, it turns into a spear. So this one would be baseline firing arrows so that you can use the Keyblade as a ranged weapon. And that would actually be utilized several times throughout the game after you unlock it. You'd have to have it powered up and because you would need ranged weapons from time to time. And this would be the only one that could do that.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that would be interesting. From there, I think we explore the world of Dumbo, because I think they're going to want to capitalize on hopefully the success of the movie that comes out later this year. So
live action Dumbo or cartoon Dumbo?
Cartoon Dumbo.
Okay.
I'm talking original cartoon Dumbo, but again, this would be capitalizing on the fact that I only have one realistic world. That's the next one. But I think that going back to Dumbo, which I think came out in like the 50s or something, one of the original Disney cartoons, it doesn't have a Disney princess in it. We've never seen like this whole fun circusy type setting, wacky. We've seen wacky and crazy, but we've never seen like a circusy type setting in Kingdom Hearts before. And just going back to what Dumbo was and how like, you know, the birds and the train segments and all this type of stuff that we saw in the original cartoon, I think this could be done really well. It would be more of a set piece world than anything. Like it would be very linear. It wouldn't be an open world. It wouldn't be something that we saw with some like Pirates or Kingdom of Corona, or, you know, it would be, what was more linear in Kingdom Hearts 3 that I could compare it to? I guess Arendelle was kind of linear, but there were kind of segments that were open as well. San Francisco was totally open. I guess the most linear one would have been Toy Box.
Yeah, true.
No,
No.
Monstropolis.
Yeah, Monstropolis. Yeah, it was literally just walk through.
It was literally a straight path. So I guess this will be most compared to Monstropolis. There were a couple segments where you could like go up and down, but for the most part, it was you had to finish this one section before you can move on to the next, and you would ride a rail or you ride the doors to the next area. So it was very linear in nature. So I could see this world being very linear because of the way that the cartoon works, but I think it would be implemented well. From there, I think we move on to our realistic world, very much done in the same way that Pirates was in Kingdom Hearts 3. Frank, I'm surprised you hit on this. I picked Hocus Pocus.
There you go.
This is the one that this is the one I'm surprised that you actually picked, because I thought I'd be the only one that had this. I thought we would be basically implemented right into, you know, the heart of the plot of the original movie. I like how you took it a step further, that the Heartless want to take the hearts of the children, working with the Sanderson sisters. I think that's a brilliant idea. I don't really see a support character in this world so much. I think we would just be pretty much helping Max, Allison, and Thackeray Binks, and Billy to an extent. So I like that you mentioned him as well. And just kind of dealing with the Sanderson sisters and kind of stopping the Heartless. But what I really liked about Hocus Pocus, and the reason why I picked it, again, this is our human world, but I've always wanted a nice Halloween setting after we saw Halloween Town from Kingdom Hearts 1. And I just don't know that they're ever going to go back to Halloween Town. I don't know that we're ever going to revisit The Nightmare Before Christmas as a franchise in Kingdom Hearts again. So this is the next best setting to get in terms of a Halloween setting for Kingdom Hearts. So, and it could be an open setting. It could be very much done like San Francisco in Kingdom Hearts 3. So it's your entire city area, but you're looking at Salem now. So you can have a section that is like where the Sanderson sister house is, and you can have a section that takes place at the school, and you can have a section that takes place on like the streets where the trick-or-treating is done. I want a trick-or-treat type of minigame in this world, though. I do. So I want there to be something where you can dress up and go door to door, and, you know, kind of like how Max and Allison were trick-or-treating that one, you know, in the movie right before they go to Allison's house and then the whole adventure starts. I would love to see that as like a mini game where you are actually trick-or-treating before the whole, you know, before the shit hits the fan, so to speak. I think that'd be a great way to introduce this world. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. So that's my human setting.
Plus Goofy and Donald, or if they were in that, they wouldn't even need to be in costume. It would only need to be.
Yeah. It would just have to be Sora. But again, Goofy and Donald don't exist in my list because I think this is Zora and a totally cast of characters.
There's going to be two Disney characters. Yeah. They don't need to.
Ooh, I wonder who would join Yozora as Disney characters. Like, I don't know. Or it would be his own characters, because they implemented, you know, when that trailer we saw, they introduced quite a few characters alongside Yozora. So I don't know. My last world, and you're going to question this when I say it because I said I only had one human setting. My last world is Star Wars. Oh. But here's how I see Star Wars implemented. I think that Star Wars is going to resemble the current cartoon that is on TV, Star Wars Resistance. And Star Wars Resistance is a cartoon that has an aesthetic and artistic design similar to Japanese anime. So this would be our first anime world in Kingdom Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts universe. So Star Wars could still exist as a universe, but not with a human setting, much like how Shawn said, you know, he wants you have these settings, but you want the more playful side with it. You want the more cartoony, crazy side, because it is a game. It is Kingdom Hearts. It's not necessarily supposed to be real life settings. So you take Star Wars and then you have this Japanese anime type feel to it. So you have your world that feels like Studio Ghibli or Japanese anime. And I actually think that would be done really well. And it's characters that we're not familiar with. Like, it's not Luke, it's not Darth Vader, it's not Tatooine, but it's still the Star Wars universe. And I think that would work really well.
You think they would use the Star Wars IP and not go for a big character?
I do.
More?
Absolutely do, because I think that Well, first of all, I don't think Star Wars is going to be involved at all, because this is just my ideal wish list, because Star Wars IP is owned by EA, and EA and Square Enix don't work together.
That's true.
I actually don't.
They have it for now.
I actually don't think Star Wars is going to be implemented at all. But in my ideal world list for Kingdom Hearts 4, it would be this version of Star Wars. So I think that if they were going to get away with it at all, because EA has the IP for Star Wars in terms of like the big line stuff, I think maybe Square Enix could potentially get it for this, but not necessarily for what EA has it for. So that's how I think it can be implemented into Kingdom Hearts 4. And then I have the last, because that's all the worlds, like, you know, that was my 8 Disney worlds, my 1 hidden world, my original worlds of Verum Rex and Twilight or Traverse Town. But I think the last world we would go to, my 11th world, is an original world that I don't know what it is, but it's an important part of the narrative to Kingdom Hearts 4. So much like, you know, the Keyblade Graveyard was important to Kingdom Hearts 3, much like the final world, it's kind of like what the final world is in Kingdom Hearts 3, which is literally is called the final world. So it would be something that is definitely unique to Kingdom Hearts 4 that we haven't seen before, that is specifically important to whatever narrative is being told in Kingdom Hearts 4. So the last world we would go to would be something original. Right. And that's my list.
All right. I chimed in for a second, then I stopped and let you do your thing. Pocahontas. I have that, and I have Mulan on my list of 2 worlds that I just don't think could exist in the world.
Mulan is the one I left off because it was either between Pocahontas or Mulan. And I chose Pocahontas.
And Mulan has one of my favorite Disney songs in general, so I don't hate either of these movies. I just think because the fact these are... Mulan is fighting against the Huns, and that's a real group of people, that those wars actually happened. I think Disney would shy away from that. Pocahontas is an actual historical figure, and I feel there'd be some kind of fervor, even if you portrayed her in a positive light. Pocahontas, the movie, portrays her in a positive light. I think there'd be some kind of uproar over the so to say the whitewashing, or the whatever you want to say, the way that we portray her and the battles with Indians and the settlers. I think that's. It's. I don't think they're willing to walk that fine line, but I think those are 2 worlds. I personally would love to see them both. They're both strong female characters, and these games definitely have, you know, they like their strong female characters. I just don't see how they. I don't. I'm trying to articulate this. I don't see how they can get around that with the political climate as it is, the way it is right now.
Yeah, I actually thought about that a little bit too, but I decided that, you know, because Disney is more lighthearted, that I think these could still work. Because
Pocahontas was definitely on my list, and I took it off because...
if I had to take something off my list and put Mulan on, I would take Dumbo off and put Mulan in. I think Dumbo is probably the least strongest world that I have, and I would implement Mulan into that. Either that or take Star Wars off, because again, I don't think Star Wars would happen, and put Mulan in.
We've had some Mulan interaction. I think it was Kingdom Hearts 1. We had Wushu as summon.
Yeah.
But that's the most we've gotten from them, so.
Yeah. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 has Stitch, and it has, you know, Simba. I mean, it has Ariel. It has characters we've seen before as summons, but not their actual world itself. So.
I had an honorable mention world that I say for the end, and that was, and it can't happen. That's why it's honorable mention, was Wreck-It Ralph. There's no way we're gonna travel. There's no way we're gonna travel to all these like other video games like Nintendo and Sega and stuff like that.
Sure, but I guess they could do something within Wreck-It Ralph, and I think that's one that a lot of people actually want, that is just unique. Like they could do just, you know, the Candy World, and like they could just focus on the original stuff that Wreck-It Ralph created, and not necessarily have to go to the Nintendo IPs and all that stuff that's in the world. But again, Ralph is a summon in Kingdom Hearts 3. So
yes.
I don't know. That was fun. But that was interesting. So it's kind of cool to see how our lists were severely different. I mean, Frank and I obviously kind of crossed over on 2 worlds. One of them, again, I'm very surprised you actually thought of Hocus Pocus as well. But yeah, I actually interested to see that. And then Shawn's bigger focus on like the whole Final Fantasy franchises and Disney, the theme park aspect of it. I think, you know, our lists were drastically different. I actually thought that was cool.
I would love that. Any way to get Indiana Jones into a game is fine by me.
Yeah.
You know, another one I thought of was 101 Dalmatians. That would have been a fun...
yeah, instead of just finding the dogs in the world like we did in Kingdom Hearts 1, maybe like actually exploring that whole world.
Yeah.
Dealing with Cruella de Vil. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good villains out there, too, that could make their way into these games from Disney franchises. That could be a fun setup.
Absolutely. what I want to know now is from you, the listener. Drop in the comments below. Let me know, or let us know, what worlds you want to see in the next Kingdom Hearts, whether it is a mainline franchise or a mainline entry in the series or a side entry. You can let us know, but what is your next ideal list for worlds for the future of Kingdom Hearts? Did we touch on things that you want to see? Did we forget something that is totally obvious for some reason?
I'm sure we
completely
did.
skip over something. Yeah. Did we totally skip over something? So drop us a comment in the section down there. Let us know what you want to see, and we will be interacting with you in the comments as you comment. So it'll be cool. But yeah, keep an eye out. As I mentioned, we have a spoiler cast going up for Kingdom Hearts 3, where Frank and I are going to dive deep into the story and really talk about that secret movie at the end and what could be coming next. Now that we kind of put together our world list, we're going to explore like what really realistically could be coming next based on that secret movie that we saw at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be up on our YouTube channel, and it'll be up in our Max Level podcast feed. Thanks for checking out a new episode of Flavor Text. If you enjoyed what you just heard, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn notifications on, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. We'll see you next time.